Hello, econ students. Here's a quick overview of the supply and demand graphing Hyperslides activity. Here are your directions on the second page. I'm going to go over an example with you on how this works, but the steps are identified here. Your objective today will be to practice graphing some supply and demand activity graphs as far as market activity goes and determine whether supply and demand will be affected. As a result of the change in supply or demand, you will also determine the effect on price and quantity. So these are the steps I'll be going over in this example, so refer back to the directions. Okay, so here are the different steps that you need to take in order to accomplish the following results. First, you identify what the market is. In this case, it's McDonald's hamburgers. The second step is you figure out what event takes place. The price of hamburger decreases. So you have one of the ingredients in McDonald's hamburgers, the price decreases. So in this case, it's not going to affect the demand, so we put 0 there. It's going to affect the ability for McDonald's to supply. So we're going to put a plus on the supply end. Then we're going to move our curve to the right, a right for an increase. So now we have supply to the right for hamburgers. The new intersection point is your new market clearing price, also known as equilibrium. So that's why you have E1 and E2 located here. So you draw some dotted lines, and you can use the layout buttons over here with these line buttons and make that work. And then you have dotted line ability once you activate that, and I'll show you on the next example. So you have your first price and your second price laid out. Notice the intersection point for the new curve S2 across the demand curve. The demand curve has not moved, and so as a result you have price going down or decreasing, and that's why we have a minus here, and we have quantity increasing to the right. The only other thing that you need to make sure to include is the reasoning behind your shift. And so down here you can see where I put in input prices or costs of ingredients. So that's one of the factors that can shift the demand curve based on your notes from earlier in the week with respect to those supply and demand videos in the resources section of the chapter 4, 5, and 6 unit. So bear with me, I'm going to use the drawing tools on this Google slideshow just like you will be doing on your own examples on the following slides. So the way you do this is you number one, determine what the market is. So we have peanut butter, and we have the event. The price of jelly increases. So first we got to determine what the factor is that's going to shift these. Is it a supply factor or a demand factor? And in that case, you have jelly and peanut butter go hand in hand. Those are known as complementary goods. So that means that the price of complements comes into play. Price of complements. And so we put that down here as our item, and I'm going to change the font so I can see what color it is. Where's that at? Fill color, font color, text color, and there we go. So note that we've completed that so far, and then we're going to move on to the graphing of one of the two curves. It's a demand factor. So think to yourself, price of complements. The price of jelly increases, and I like to do this. It's called the thumb rule. So if the price of jelly increases, and then we must go the opposite direction with complementary goods, if you can see my thumbs, that means that the price of jelly increases, so the demand for peanut butter must go down. Okay, see that? So what I'm going to do is mark a new parallel line in this direction right here. And so I'm going to grab this line tool, click on it, and if I hold the shift key down, and draw a line, I can make it straight. And so I'm going to work through each of these sections. And so I need a 4-point line weight. Did you guys see that under line weight? So it makes it wider. Let's give it some new color. So the line color is going to be red. And then we're going to need some new intersection points. So we have new lines here. And we're going to make that a dotted line. And we're going to give that some more weight. I'm using 4-point. And then we're going to do another line. Each time you got to click on add a line. Oops, let me see what we got here. There it goes. Sometimes I struggle to get that working. And make that a 4-point line weight, and dashed. Okay, so we're going to change the color of these to match our changes. So the line color is also going to be red. Okay, and then you've got 2 other lines at this intersection to show our change. So we're going to go up here, select the line again. Oops. There it is. Okay, and dash that line, 4-point, and we'll change it to a different color. How about blue? Okay, and then moving down the page, we've got another line, and we're going to intersect at our old equilibrium right here and match that up with the old quantity, and it goes to here. 4-point weight, there we go, and we're going to give that some color too. And the last step is to label. We need to label our curves, so you use some text boxes to do that, and we can do that here. We've got Q2, and notice that if I want to get technical and format the text, I can do subscript like this. Okay, maybe make that a little bigger. So I'm going to increase the font size to 20. That's what this other one was. So it's about the same. Move that up, and notice that it's directly underneath my new curve for Q2. So we move on to the next label. It is a little cumbersome, but once you get through this, you'll be really good at the draw tools. So P2 again, you're going to go format, text, subscript, and 2. Now the alternative to doing this on the draw tools would be if you have an iPad and you wanted to just do it by hand. You could do it on like a whiteboard, and I would accept that too. If you wanted to print these pages out and mark them up as long as they're in separate colors, I would go for that too. So that's totally up to you if you don't want to do it this way. So we're going to increase our font size, get that out of the way. There we go. So P2 is there, and move that to the middle of that line, and we're good. So we've got that squared away. 2 more labels, one for the equilibrium right here. Equilibrium 1 is going to be up a little higher. Let's try that. So we've got E. One. There it is. And increase the font size of that guy. So there we go. And we got E2 over here to the left of E1. E1. Okay. So that includes all of our labels. We made it 20 size. There it is. And you're good to go. Okay, so that's E2. Shoot, E2. Okay, next is we know we move the demand curve. Which way did we move it? Moved to the left. So that's a minus. So you put minus in there. Did we move the supply curve? No. We put a 0 for no movement. And then you can see the relationship between the old price and the new price. So price went down. That's a minus. And we're going to put down Q versus Q2. That is also minus. So our final answer for this is minus 0, minus, minus. And that's how it's done. So you have those two examples under your belt. Hopefully you can figure out the rest of them. Let me go over what you have to do here for the rest of the problems. You're going to be graphing oranges. In the event is shortage of bread flour. You have to determine whether that's a demand event or a supply event, and then list the factor and graph it. And so you're going to continue on. And then problem 3 is gasoline with the surplus of oil. Problem 4 is webcams. A disease outbreak forces working from home via Zoom. So you have to determine what the immediate effect of that would be on webcams. The chicken market, if the price of beef decreases, what happens to the supply or demand of chicken? You've got to determine whether it would affect the supply or demand first, and then figure out what direction those curves are going to move. Okay, so if you go through these examples and you're able to manage all of this, then I'd be satisfied with your learning about supply and demand. So good luck, and let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to message me, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks.